to Imagine Me TV, Real Talk, Real Life. I am your host, Arthy Lawrence, and I am super excited about tonight. We have an amazing guest. I mean, she has some powerful stories to share. She's a mom, she's a wife, she's an entrepreneur. Oh my goodness, I mean, you have to hear and watch her story because I know it's going to change some lives today. So, you know what we do? We ask you to go ahead and share this video, invite your friends, invite your family. We are so thankful for all our viewers. We want to say thank you. We've had people from Paris and from, let's see, Japan, Italy, Russia, all the Caribbean islands like Barbados, Dominica, Jamaica, and all over the U.S. So we just want to say thank you, and we do not take your time for granted. We are really happy and excited that you take the time on a Sunday evening to, hang out with us. So we just want to say thank you. Thank you very much. I'm going to just tell you a little bit about our guest tonight, Kimberly Ross. She's a realtor, and she's also, let's see, I think Berkshire. Well, she's going to pronounce it better than I can. But I don't want to read too much of her bio because I really want you guys to listen to her tell the story. I think it's more interesting than me reading it. So what I would like for you guys to do is we're going to go on a quick break, put on a commercial, and we want you to invite your friends, invite your family. And once we come back, we're going to go right into the show because I know it's going to be an amazing show. So go ahead, invite someone. You have 1 minute to do that. And we are back. Welcome to Imagine Me TV. It's real talk, real life, real issues. This is the show where we encourage you, we empower you. We bring guests from, we've had guests from all over the world. Well, today we're in the studio. It's Sunday evening and it is gorgeous outside, just like my guests. Welcome, welcome, welcome. It is such a pleasure to have you here.
I'm so happy to be here.
Oh, thank you, thank you. And I know you're a super busy woman, and for you to take the time and come, we appreciate it. So we just want to say a hearty welcome on Imagine Me TV. And we're going to jump right into the question because we always run out of time.
That's okay.
We always run out of time. So let's go. So we're going to jump into it. So tell us a bit more about Kim, the mom you have, the mom of 3 kids, the wife. Tell us a little bit more. And take your time. We got time. It's our show. We can go as long as we want. So take your time.
So I am the team lead of the Kim Ross team. We are with Berkshire Hathaway, Georgia Properties here in Fayetteville.
Okay.
I have been a realtor now for 3 years.
Oh.
I've had several other past lives, I guess you could call them. We'll get into that. And we are blessed with 3 children. We have a 4-year-old son, an 8-year-old daughter, and an almost 12-year-old daughter. Her birthday is actually next Saturday. And we live on a small homestead here in Fayette County where we have probably about 70 animals.
Wow, well, we're going to get into that later. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Ah.
So we have a nonprofit that we started in 2019. Of course, COVID has kind of shifted that, but we're slowly getting back there, and we have some really big dreams and goals for our community, and I can see that just kind of progressing as we move forward.
And I think that's a good thing about, I guess, us business people in Fayetteville. We all have that sense of community.
Absolutely.
Like I was just telling you, me being from the Caribbean, and I was talking to the mayor, and yesterday I spoke to the police commissioner. And we talk about, just bringing our community together, just whether it's, even if we have different cultures and different Caribbean representation or wherever different people come from, but we can all come together and work. And I really love the community. And at first, I did not want to be in Fayetteville. I tried everything to go back up to Sandy Springs. And no matter what I try, I was like, man, because I lived in New York a long time ago, but I lived in Ohio. And then when I came from Ohio, I lived up north, which was north of Atlanta. So pretty much everything I did was in Atlanta, Sandy Springs, Roswell. And it was just life. I literally I could have a fashion show on Wednesday night or a dinner party or something was happening like
much
all the time. Yes. And by the time we got home, it's like 12 in the night. And I came to Fayetteville and I was like, what the? And I was like, nope, I can't do this. This is too slow and not much. And I was in 2017, like nothing was happening. You know, and then I remember a pastor told me, he said, you know, God brought you down here for a reason. The things that you want to see happen, you might be the one that have to usher it in. And I keep like, we would live here and we would go up north to look for apartments and look and nothing, jobs, no work. And then my husband finally found a job there. And one day I just said, you know what, God, I'll just say. And then the doors open. We were able to open here, and the rest is, is history. So it's
continuing.
Yes, continuing. And like you said, we all just. The plans that we have for Fayetteville, I think people that had moved out, they're going to wish they didn't and they want to come back. But like I said last week, we're full and we're not taking any more people. But anyway, okay, so I met you, I think, was it about a year ago?
A little more than a year.
Because it was before that famous COVID. And I think, I can't remember how I ended up coming there. I don't know if I either got an email or something, but I love to network, and as business people, that's what we have to do. And especially, like here, everything is new to us. And I went, and I think they gave you gave everyone a chance to just say something about their business.
That's correct.
And I'm a person that everywhere I go, if there's a competition or something, I'm a praying woman. I promise, like, okay, I am gonna win this. So when you said that. Everybody put their card in the bucket, and I was like, I am gonna win this because I'm gonna win this 5 minutes, even if I was afraid to talk. I was like, and I won. I was like, whoa, I did it, And it was you guys received me so well, and it meant a lot because I wasn't really much exposed to the different types of business like that. Everything was mostly fashion, and it was new to all of us, and it's like everybody just got along and everybody wanted to share. I actually got this really big table from a lady that I met there. I don't remember her name right now.
It's amazing how we connect with people and we have no idea what that's going to bring in the future.
I did not know because it was like months after.
And it just happened.
And she just, I don't know, she said, I know you have a charity, but I have this table. Would you like it? And when she said how big it was, I was like, But then when she brought it, I was like, this is going to take a lot of space. But then I realized it was perfect for me to do the sewing. So that's what we started, cutting on the fabric, even with my nonprofit. And then when we had an event the other day, I was able to decorate it. I was like, I'm just going to leave it set up there. So when people come, they know we do. So it was, so tell us more about Saba. And because, I know we still wanted to grow and, so tell us more about that.
So SABA is the South Atlanta Business Association, and there are different chapters, Peachtree City, Noonan, and Griffin. And at the time that I came about to meet some of the people who were involved in it, there was no longer a Fayetteville chapter. So they were so kind to me and let me kind of run with it. I guess it was 15 months that I was the host. And it's a free entrepreneur group similar to some of the groups that are out there. Maybe some of them you have to pay for. But what I really liked was this was just once a month. And it was a place for all entrepreneurs.
Yes.
And it was a place for me to start to connect with my community as I was building a real estate business and now a team. And I really needed to meet new people and kind of push myself out of the comfort zone.
Yeah.
So we have one guest speaker similar to what we're doing here. And usually they talk about a topic of something to do with, for small business owners to learn something. Whether it's to grow themselves or to grow their businesses. So recently I passed that on to Muldrow Marketing in
Okay.
Peachtree City, but they're hosting the Fayetteville one, and
Okay.
you can find it at southatlantabusinessassociation.org. There's also a Facebook group and a Facebook page. You can go on there and follow, join the group, and you can go to any or all of these
Oh, okay. I
networking.
didn't know we could go
Yes,
to.
you
Oh.
can go to any of them, and you can pick and choose. There's not like a requirement on how many you go to.
Okay.
So it's a really great opportunity,
And
and like you said, you can talk and
yes,
things.
and meet people. It was
Yes.
really. And you said
Mhm.
there's, because I can't remember. There's no fee, what? Right?
There's no fee.
Which because I went to a few of them, and even to me to just start, and some of them were like really expensive, like $500 a year, or
Yes.
and even if eventually we may say, hey, we may have to put a fee because we know everything costs, but
Mhm.
I think that was good for people that are just starting their business that
Absolutely.
just want to come and meet other people because there's other way we can network and do stuff together. So I kind of like that part of it. That okay, right now there's not a fee, but let me try it. If a fee comes up, then I know it was worth it.
Mhm.
We'll do
And
it.
we're
So
on Zoom now, so honestly,
yeah,
there's not really a need for a fee. If we were meeting at a restaurant or a coffee shop where they were, kind of charging a little bit, that would be different. But yeah, this is totally free, and for anyone, you don't have to live in Fayetteville.
okay.
Most of our businesses are not just right in the area that we live
Yeah.
in, right?
Okay.
Unless we
Yeah.
own
True.
a shop
Yeah.
or, hey, I do real estate, I'm in a certain area. But a lot of these people are doing business all over the place. So
Okay,
feel free
yeah,
to
so-
join. Please do.
Yes, and so the meetings like for ours fair is Wednesdays, right?
Yes, it's the third Wednesday of every month. Actually, I believe it's this Wednesday then.
Right.
It's this upcoming
And
Wednesday.
as soon as I need to, and I have it written down, but as soon as you have so many
Yes.
things coming up,
Always.
and then the beeper goes up, you're like, okay. So I'm definitely going to do. But yeah, and I think it was just really a great opportunity. So you said now they're in Zoom, so
Yeah.
pretty much anyone can just
That's
join
correct.
on there.
And you can find the link right on the website. It's
Cool.
very easy.
Are there any plans though to open up soon, or is everything just for now?
I got to a point where I felt like I had really grown from this opportunity. I really enjoyed my time, and it was time to pass it on. And that's what's really great about something like Saba is you truly can just pass it on to another host. And so I haven't really talked to Jason from Muldrow Marketing to find out whether or not they're going to have plans. But I would assume eventually things are starting to lighten up. So I would hope. I would love to see everybody in person.
Yes, so. I know. I can't wait
I would be there.
Yeah, we hopefully. Well, I got my COVID shot, so. And I know the president said that we don't have to use masks anymore, so I'm good with that. I mean, depending on where I'm going, I would still walk with it just in case, because there's quite a lot of people that has not had it. So, but yeah. So guys, hopefully we can get people to join the Saba as well. But we're going to just keep going because we, before we even, we were here just chatting and stuff. And that's something that wasn't in your bio. Well, a couple of things we'll be talking about.
Yes.
You talk about going to New Zealand when you were 18? Wow. Can you tell us about that trip? Because that is very young. I know I went to New York when I was a little younger. But then at least someone was meeting me, my aunt and stuff like that. But New Zealand, that is like really
absolutely.
Tell us about it.
Yeah, the story kind of starts a little bit before then. I graduated high school in 3 years, so I was 17. And the guy I was dating long term at the time was a tree transplanter. And at first, we actually got a job in Aspen, Colorado. So I was in Aspen on my own with him for a few months at 17.
Wow.
And then we were back in New York, and he got this job opportunity with a large company called Treescape. And if my memory serves me correct, it's really an Australian and New Zealand company.
Oh,
and so it took a long time, many months, but they were able to give me a working visa. And so we packed up our apartment and all of our stuff, and we put it on a ship.
That was brave.
And it took almost a month to get to us. So we lived out of our suitcases for about a month because it was on the slowest ship on the planet, I believe.
The snail ship. Yeah, the turtle ship.
And so we got there, and we spent about a year there traveling and working. I worked for a small landscaping company. At the very end, we kind of moved houses, and I did volunteer work with a local thrift store just to kind of keep myself busy for a few months. And so that experience is definitely something that shaped me as a young person. And it was very scary, but
what is
also
life?
amazing.
What is life like there, though, in New Zealand?
Well, it's a lot calmer, I guess.
I think everywhere is calmer.
Yes, even back then it was calmer. You know, you got your meat from the meat market and your fruits and veggies from the different markets. Not a lot of walking because we made the conscious decision not to live in the city of Auckland. We actually lived on the beach, Bethany's Beach, right on the black sand beaches.
Oh, yeah, we have black sand too. Not too many.
So it was about a 25-minute ride into town, but well worth it.
Yes, because I believe, if I'm correct me, honey, and maybe you can research it for me, because I think Dominica and New Zealand are the two black sand beaches, I think. Because almost everywhere. I mean, when I went to New York, because then what was it? New York the first place I went, or was it Barbados? Somewhere I went and they had white sand. I was like, what in the world? Why is the sand white? Because we've always had this black, really nice and shiny sand, and we didn't know anything about white sand, so we just thought their sand was bad. But I think New Zealand, that is a small. If that's the truth, then that's something else. New Zealand, Dominica. Yeah. But I mean, I am going so far. And how many hours traveling you said that was? Like,
I want to say it was close to 24 hours between, I think on the way there we flew to California, and then from California all the way to New Zealand. And on the way back, we went from New Zealand to Tahiti, and then Tahiti to New York.
Wow.
So quite a long traveling, and we were fortunate enough that my parents were able to come and visit for 2 weeks while we were there. So they made this adventure out of it, which was really beautiful.
Wow. Yeah, so 17, 18, and traveling across the world. That's a journey.
Scary.
Yeah. I know it's scary because I know when I went to New York the very first time, and I had family there, and I was very homesick. Weren't you like really homesick, or just wanted to go back and stuff?
I was. So I am a writer. I've always kept a journal pretty much my whole childhood, and even now, I wish I kind of did it more now, but I kept a journal the whole time I was in New Zealand.
Wow.
And so I can really go back, and I wrote nearly every day.
Wow.
And yes, it's kind of sad to go back and read how homesick I was, because at that age, it's very hard to just say, hey, this is a small portion of your life, live it up. And I was very, very, I'm missing my mom.
Yes. Wow.
But we had a lot of fun, and we did.
And you had good experiences. Now you can talk about it. You can talk to the kids about it and stuff like that.
We're planning on going.
To revisit there. Cool.
I want to take my husband and kids.
That'd be cool.
Absolutely.
Man, we have a lot to talk about. So we're going. Let's see. Even before we were again. Before the show starts, we always have conversation because then we find out a lot of stuff that's not in the bio because we want to save the really good stuff. So, and you talked to me about you being a recovering addict. I would really like you to just talk to our viewers and just really be as free as you want, because we never know who's watching, who's going through it at the time, who's just thinking, there's no hope. Or even sometimes families have people that are addicts and they feel like there's no hope. So I just want you to talk to our viewers and just tell your story.
Absolutely. So I started abusing drugs as a teenager, and it wasn't ever an issue or a problem. It was more a recreational thing, but I had been exposed to it. And when I got back from New Zealand, I was put in a situation where I was not around the right people. I was depressed for several reasons, and so I took to doing drugs. And that escalated fairly quickly into serious dependence on cocaine within a year. And it was a really trying time, yes, for myself, but so much so for my family. And they were really scared for me. And I'm sure there were points that they weren't sure if I would ever come out.
Wow.
There were times where they would have to come and knock on the door and try and find me, and couldn't. So that was a really hard time, and it lasted several years. And there were a few situations that happened that made me realize that I needed to physically remove myself from this environment in order to get help. So what that looked like for me was picking up all of my stuff, packing it in my car, and my mother helping me, my stepfather helping me move to North Carolina. The day I got clean was April 1st, April Fool's Day.
Wow,
Easy to remember. And so that was 13 years ago.
Wow. But what made you, okay, because I know even usually it's kind of hard for addicts to just decide, you know what, I don't want to do this anymore. Sure. What is it that prompts you to say, you know what, this is not what I want to do?
So I'm a pretty stubborn person, and I knew what I was doing to myself. I knew what I was doing to my potential future, and I become quite stuck and obsessed when I get to doing something. So when I made up my mind that I was going to be a drug addict, I was a drug addict all the way.
Wow.
And I was really good at it. And that goes the same thing for my recovery. I had never wanted to get clean.
Oh, wow.
Never. That wasn't something in my head. I enjoyed the feeling. And so there were a few traumatic experiences that happened that flipped a switch that said, I don't want to do this anymore, and I know that there's a better way. And so I just dug my heels in. So if you have any sort of little bit of stubbornness in you, I promise you can get out of it. You just have to focus all of your attention to personal development and personal growth, and fill all of your time and energy with that, and not with the drugs. And eventually you feel better. And eventually the years start to pass.
Yeah. You know, you said something about if you wanted to become a drug addict, or so, because I've heard a lot of times people blame like other people. Well, it's because of the person she hang out with, or this person gave it to her, or how did it happen though for you?
I made the choice. Choice. No, it was my choice. It was just readily available because of the individuals I was spending time with.
Okay, wow.
And I, being depressed, I just thought, oh, well, if I do this, I will feel better.
Okay.
I will feel better. And then that becomes, I can't live without it.
Wow. So I've let me see where I put that question. How does it look? So, because people talk about how it make you feel. Is it where you just don't remember stuff, or
exactly? It's kind of just
it numbs you, or
yeah,
something?
exactly. It numbed me, so that I didn't have to deal or feel with the things that I was, trying to push away and not deal with. That now I am still dealing with. Because that's life and that's humans.
And see, that's what
coping mechanisms. If you don't have good coping mechanisms, if you weren't taught them as a child, there's no way for you to go through rough times and understand or know how to cope with those feelings. And so people use drugs. They drink alcohol. They go home after a hard day at work and they immediately want a glass of wine. Well, that's a coping mechanism.
Yeah. But they go shopping.
It was the same thing. They go shopping. Hey, that's another one. Right? Or even hoarders.
Yeah.
That's a different type of coping mechanism to fill the void. So.
And, you just said something that you're still working some things, and I'm still working things out after all these years. And I think a lot of times people think that, okay, they go through tribulations or trials, like we say, in as Christians, and excuse me, and they just feel like they should not be struggling, or they should not be facing certain things. And I think that's what could be a problem for a lot of people, just believing that, I should have this house, I should have this car, I should have these things. And when they don't have it, or it doesn't happen for them, they get really more frustrated and hopeless and stuff like that. But to go through all of this at a young age, and to say, you know what, I'm going to get out of this. This is a really powerful testimony, because I'm sure it's going to help someone that's watching, or that's going to watch this later and say, you know what, if she can do it, I can do it. And being able to love ourselves too, because I think a lot of times people don't love themselves, you know.
Yes.
Um,
And that was a huge part of what was happening with me was I did not love myself.
and do you mind telling us like the reason why, or when you just maybe?
Well, it's a culmination of things. Absolutely. You know, I had some, things going on in, my childhood. My father was mentally ill. Actually, he committed suicide 7 years ago.
Oh wow.
So,
Oh yeah, I remember you sharing that.
yeah, so there was a lot of things going on. And
Wow.
I've had mental health issues and anxiety
Yeah,
and things since I was a child. So again, to me, it goes back to not knowing how to cope and internalizing your struggles like it's your fault or there's something wrong with you. And then eventually, we're not loving ourselves.
Yes.
And that is such a huge thing, I think, for youth to truly be taught to love themselves first.
Good. And if you're able to talk a little bit more, because I just realized that when you said about the mental health, because so many people go through it, and a lot of times they hide it, they don't want to talk about it, they don't want people to know. But this month is actual mental month awareness, and I have you on there. There's no coincidence. So, and even with the suicide, I want to talk a little bit more about that. Are there signs? I too, I wanted to commit suicide a few times. Sometimes I think about it, because sometimes when things get overwhelming, you know, and you just like, you just, if I'm not here, I won't feel I won't feel of this. I won't miss this. I won't be going through this. And sometimes, like I tell you, it takes like one more, like I said, the little straw that breaks the camel back. That's why we have to be intentional about the people that are around us. But sometimes you may not even see the signs, you know. And I know just with your dad going there, can you just talk to us a little bit more on that,
Sure.
please?
So, it is hard to say that there's one linear, pathway to that.
Yeah.
Because there are certainly individuals who quickly make that decision and follow through. And there may not be signs. So you cannot always help everyone. Now, in my father's instance, this was a tumultuous ride for many, many years, where I almost felt like I was the parent sometimes. So I remember right after my first daughter was born, I brought him up to the VA to check himself in to a mental health facility, and he refused, even though it was his idea to go. So I think when people are crying to you for help, all you can do is the best you can to provide them the help, to support them. But ultimately, just as it is with drug addiction, it's their choice.
Yes.
And so what was interesting is that my father verbally said that he wanted to commit suicide several times throughout maybe a 4-year period, and never did. But when he actually did it, we never heard a word about it, because once they make a decision, they just follow through the plan.
So do you think like the times that they're saying it,
they're asking for help?
Mm.
And we can do everything we can. We can provide the therapy. We can, reach out to other people, but they have to choose. And if they choose to alienate their family, and if they choose to continue down that path, there's very little you can do, even though after it happens, you feel as if you failed.
Definitely, because I think it was a couple years ago, and my daughter had a friend, and I knew her as well, and she attempted a few times, and I remember one night I spoke with her. We spoke like for 3 hours, and because she was contemplating it again, I talked to her, and after that I saw her on Facebook and talked to her, and she looked okay and everything like that, and then out of the blue, well, I went to a retreat, and when I said the Spirit of God said, call such and such a person. And I was like, when I get back, I'll just call her, because, I'm in the retreat. And that night she killed herself. And I felt so responsible. I felt so guilty. And I was like, man, maybe I could have saved her and stuff. And this time she did it in a way where she used a gun. The last time I think she took pills and stuff, and they were able to save her and stuff. This time she just used a gun.
And that's an important thing is, when they make the decision, it's usually to a point where there's nothing you can do. In my experience. So, yeah, it's really difficult, but it's really important, and it's important that we normalize it.
Yeah.
And we work through it. So even as us survivors, we can go to therapy and we can talk it out and we can feel good. A year later, it might come back.
Yeah.
This is not something in your own mental health. You may feel depressed, get some help, feel good, and then it may come back. Well, this is potentially a lifelong journey.
Yeah.
And I truly feel like my successes in my life now are due to overcoming a lot of these obstacles and pushing forward and not allowing them to hinder.
But you made that choice, and I think that's why you have to make that choice. You know what? I make the choice to leave to do better, to get the help.
Mm-hmm.
That's
right. And then, break the cycle.
Yes. And you're right, because I suffered through depression, and I remember but I didn't want to take the medication that the doctor gave me, because it was funny because I worked in mental health. I worked in the psychiatric unit when I was in Ohio, because I was in nursing school and I wanted to be either psychiatric or pediatric nurse, and no, geriatric. And I guess being exposed to the people in the mental institution kind of, I remembered it. So when the doctor, I think it was it after I got divorced, I think, and that was really, really traumatic for me. I was already depressed and very verbally abused in my marriage. So I cried a lot. I was sad a lot. People would see me. I'd go to church. I would lead worship. I would do everything. But I go home and I cry myself to sleep, or I would just cry for hours. And like you, that's how my first book came about, because I write everything. But I would write really starting in with a really angry place. And it was always directed to God, because I was blaming God. You put me there. You divided. But then in the end, I would find myself writing a prayer, or just... So the writing, I think I didn't realize that was therapy for me, because by the time I finished like 2 pages, I have like over 25 journals. I got so many journals at home from...
Yes.
Woo! And sometimes some of them, now I can go back and read it and not feel the pain. But there's some of them I hide it, because if I would just go back, it would hurt so much.
It's a trigger.
I would just cry and say, wow, I went through this. Yeah. So I don't even... and don't go searching for my diaries. I'm kidding. Let me go see what she went through. No, he would never do that.
No, I know he wouldn't.
Yeah, he would. And he's been a great help to me. But even going through this, and the other thing too, me being a Christian, I was really ashamed to even tell people that I was depressed. And
see, the shame part is what we need to get.
Yeah, I did not want people to know. I had a few friends from Ohio. I literally came like about 2:00 in the morning, because my kids did not know what to do, and I was just crying, and it was like this wailing and crying like someone had died. It was terrible. And then my doctor gave me the medication. I think I took it one time, and I knew enough to know that even if I was depressed and she wanted me to get out of it, I was walking around the house, and I'm like, wait a minute, I feel like I'm like one of the people that I take care of, like a zombie. And I was like, I don't like that feeling. So I decided, you know what, I'm not gonna take this, and I started just staying around. I think I focused a lot on my children, put everything into them, and just I write and worked and just consciously made that decision. I gotta get over this. I gotta deal with this, because it can really suck the life out of you and really stop you. So that's what I'm glad that this month is being talked about.
Yes.
And people, don't be ashamed to say that you have mental illness. Don't be ashamed to say you have anxiety and you're depressed, because that's the only way someone can help you. If we don't know what's going on, and now it's even more talked about, but there's still some people that are hiding, that do not want, so just, share your story. Talk about it. You never know how, you're going to push through and being able, because I'm sure your story is going to really encourage someone else, because I didn't even know all of that. And it has empowered me to like, oh, you can share a little more, so thank you very much for
Absolutely.
that. Yes, and we're going to keep going. Wow, we're only in question 3, and we got like...
That's okay. We'll get as much done as we can.
Get as much. Every time my guests come, they always have to, they're gonna come back. They're always gonna come back. So I read in your bio that you moved from New York and to Georgia.
Yes.
And people, I assume New York to Georgia. What was that motivation?
Sure. So first, we did not live in New York City. I grew up in the Hudson Valley, which is about a 2-hour train ride to New York, New York City, I should say. So kind of in between New York and Albany, and in a really rural area. And when my husband and I had our first child, we moved back to New York, where we had 2 children.
Okay.
And kind of through my struggles of my own mental health, my own anxiety, kind of what was going on throughout my childhood, and then getting out of this addiction, I decided to go to school for psychology. So I earned my bachelor's degree. I was the adult, what's it called? It was the Academic Distinction Award, but basically I did the speech at the valedictorian.
Oh, okay.
Whatever it's called, okay? And
Very
so
good. Wow.
it was for the adult learners. So, the younger students had their own private.
Amazing,
and that was probably the scariest thing I've ever done in my life, is stand up and give that speech about this mountain that I had climbed. And that I was really only at the first peak. And that second peak was that I had gotten into Georgia State University's Cognitive Sciences program.
Wow.
And so that is a culmination of a master's and a PhD. So I was very fortunate that my husband is a plumber. He's been a plumber for almost 20 years now, and he could move anywhere.
Yes.
So when I said we're moving to Georgia, he said, okay, let's go. I want to go back where it's warm. He was done with the winters. So that was my motivation. We had some family members who had lived in Fayetteville. We were looking for a diverse place. I grew up in a very small bubble. There was no families of color. Literally maybe 2 in the entire school. And so we were so excited and so looking forward to a place that had more cultural diversity, that was warmer, that had wonderful schools.
Yes.
That was still a stone's throw from Georgia State. Really, it's not a bad ride. And so we planted here.
Very good.
Yes.
So even just moving from, but before I ask the next question, though, I really want to commend you, and that will be encouraging to someone that's watching, because even as you listed some of the things that you went through, and to be the valedictorian, to give a speech, to have even just to get a degree, to be able to go to school and finish strong, that is wonderful. And that's why that's why this show exists, to let people know your dreams are possible.
Absolutely.
It's possible. And we bring real life people on. They're not someone that's going to read it on Google. Sorry, Google.
Yes.
I know you guys help me out, but
we love you, Google.
But we love it. But we want, for to hear someone that's go back and say, wow, let me just be on the verge of, what I can't do this too.
No, you can do it. I mean, I had both. I had a 3-month-old when I started my associate's degree. And then I got my associates, and then 2 years into my bachelor's, it took me 5 years to get my bachelor's. So it was 2 years associates, 3 years. I had my second child. Wow. So, I had 2 children when I got up on that stage and did that speech. It was quite the journey. And my husband, being the most supportive man on the planet, was always behind me 100%.
That's very good. Yeah. So I pray that someone will be encouraged.
Absolutely,
to just reach for their dreams. I think we're gonna take a quick break, and when we come back, we will get into but let me just let's just finish that one question, because it ties right into moving here, and then we'll take a break after that.
Okay.
So was it moving from New York to here, and like I was talking about it before when I got here, I wanted to just go back up to Sandy Springs and Roswell. Was it like a culture shock to you? Tell us more about that.
Yes, absolutely. So for my husband, probably not. I mean, he came from the South, so a lot of it was just normal to him. To me, this is a city. Fayetteville is a city. My little town in New York doesn't even have a fast food restaurant. Actually, that's a lie. We have a Subway. Okay. But the 2 towns that I kind of grew up in, there's no fast food. Wow. So we would have to go about 15-20 minutes across a bridge to another town to even eat at McDonald's. So I had the luxury of living about 30 minutes north of the Culinary Institute of America, where a lot of restaurateurs would plant themselves after going to school. So we had a lot of mom and pop shops. We had, like I said, very a white bubble. And so it was so refreshing to come here in a lot of ways. But getting used to the traffic, getting used to the driving, you know, getting used to some of the logistics took a little time. The rest of it, the community and everything, once we got settled and got the kids in school, yes, it was hard in the beginning. The kids were miserable. They hated, they'd never been in daycare. They were in daycare. There were trials. There were a lot. But after the first year, we planted our feet on the ground here. I don't think we'll be going anywhere ever.
Yeah, so, we so far we like it, and you know, when I had the police chief on there, and we didn't realize it yesterday. We definitely realized it because I guess we too, we don't do a lot, and because we're so busy. And then when the police chief said that there was like about 40% blacks in Fayetteville, I'm like, no, that's impossible because I thought it was like about 5-10%. But yesterday when we went out, I'm like, wait, there's a lot of us in Fayetteville. I was remember the 40%
people here. I love it.
And I remember when I was traveling once, and I was like, only in Texas I can see like about 10 different tribes or nations in one day. And that's what it felt like yesterday, because I spoke to people from different islands, I met someone from Trinidad, from Guyana, from Africa, from Asia, all like over. And then everybody was so nice.
Yeah, they are.
And I was like, oh, okay. It really, yesterday, that festival really opened my eyes to some stuff in Fayetteville. And like you said, I don't know if I would say I'm not gonna get out of there, but I for now we're here, and you know, we have the studios here, the businesses here, and if that's where God is planting us. But it really is a nice growing city. The mayor is pretty awesome. Yeah. I mean,
it's a great place to live. I've been here since 2014, so I can't believe it. But we're about to be, what's that, 7 years?
Wow. And then you've done really well. So we're gonna talk a little more about that, you know. So we're going to a quick commercial break, and we'll be back. To ImagineMeTV, Real Talk, Real Life. Today I'm speaking with my friend Kim, and a businesswoman, mom. She's been through a lot, but you could never, ever, ever tell. I always say, don't judge a book by its cover. I mean, when I saw you, when you spoke, because I think it was the first meeting or something.
The first, me and Jeff.
Because you were like, I think you said you were nervous, and you was like, I don't do stuff like this.
No.
I do now. Now you do. And you know, that's how we know God has a way of just pushing you there. If you dragging your feet, stop dragging your feet. Just step out in faith and do it. Otherwise, you're gonna be pushed. You know, so it was just really, I mean, from that day, like I said, I felt really welcomed, and even getting the chance to talk about my business. And that's why we do that. So we can, the word of God say, iron sharpens iron. That way we can help each other. We can empower each other.
Exactly
You know,
right.
you don't want to keep everything for yourself because you never know. Even sharing your story, it may help one person, it may help two. You just never know. So we try to encourage our guests to just tell your story. Don't be ashamed of your story because you might save a life. And doctors, nurses, they save life, but we can save lives too by sharing our story, encouraging someone. So we're gonna just keep on going, and I wrote that this is totally news to me when I read in your bio that you live on a farm.
Yes.
And I was like, what you mean you live on a farm? Because I see you talking about animals and stuff like that. I'm like, And then I read it and I went and watched some of the pictures. I'm like, yeah, I think she really live on a farm. And it's like, wow. Tell us more about that. What made you do that decision and stuff like that?
So when my husband and I moved here, we rented for a little while and we're miserable. And so we started looking. And one of the things we really wanted, and I don't even know how it came about. Maybe we just both we wanted chickens. And we wanted land. We wanted a place for our kids to be able to be outside. And so all of the houses we were looking at were needed a little bit of work, had a little land, that kind of thing. And we landed on this, it's about 5-acre plot in Fayetteville with a pond that we own the whole thing. And we've got a couple pastures, and the chicken coops were already there.
Wow.
And they were large. And it was in our budget. So I always say that the universe has a plan.
Yes.
And we actually bid on 2 other homes because we weren't quite sure about this one. And I don't know if it was the house because it was about to go up for auction. And we went back there, and I was like, what are we waiting for? There were blueberry bushes that were there since the 80s, 90s. Wow. Fig trees that had been there since the 90s. The pond was stocked, so there's carp, a few in the bottom, and then there's bass.
So there was stuff
it's a stocked pond,
Wow.
And the house was really close to what we were looking for. And so in October of 2014, we purchased the home.
Oh, wow.
And it started with 6 chickens. That was it. And now I have 40 chickens, maybe. I've got 4 goats, 2 potbelly pigs that are both rescues. I have a mini cow. I have a livestock guardian dog, an indoor dog, 2 cats, and 3 kids.
Whoa. You had me at the 40 chicken.
We have a rat, too. Yeah. My daughter has a pet rat.
Oh, wow. The 40 chickens.
More than that, probably, but I lost count. So they come and go.
So, do they roam on the 5 acres? Do they just hang out, or how does that work?
Absolutely.
We need to visit the farm.
Anytime. So the first area is by the chicken coop, and that was already fenced in.
Okay.
So that is where the chickens are, and eventually when the potbelly pigs came, that's their area.
What's a potbelly pig?
Potbelly pig is a miniature pig. It's anything less than 300 pounds, and they're rescues. They became a fad, and probably still are. People think of them as miniature pigs. Oh, they're not going to get big. They're going to stay really small, and they're so cute. But what they don't understand is that they grow up, and they grow up to be 150 to 300 pounds. And so these 2 were brought to us in various ways, essentially as pets that were no longer wanted.
Oh, okay.
So they are living out their days in luxury
Wow.
with their chickens, and they have access to the
They
pond.
got friends. They got that is Fayetteville for you. Yeah. We got a mixture. Even on the farm, we have everybody.
Absolutely.
Wow. But how do you take care of? Because all of them are different. They have different needs. How do you do that?
Yeah. Ooh. So we had attempted goats once, and it didn't work out. They were in the chicken coop. They had gotten out. I had just had Hunter, and we were like, this is not right. And so really they were off the table for a long time. And we revisited it when my friend had some goats, and we decided my husband and I would build a pasture out in front of our property.
Okay.
So him and I built it.
Wow.
And if you build it, they will come. So
yeah.
we had 3 little goats.
That's a word for someone there. If you build it, that's a word for me. If you build it, they will come.
And,
wow.
We got 3 little goats, and we really started the nonprofit right then. We had a friend of ours who was watching the farm while we were away, and the goats were little, and we didn't have pigs yet. It was just the goats and the chickens. And we were on vacation, and she works with Adults in Action, which is this wonderful nonprofit in Fayette County that does day programs for individuals with like mental disabilities and things like that who aren't in the workforce. So they do things together. And she brought them there, and they loved it.
Oh,
and I was on vacation, and I called her, and I called my friend, and I'm like, I have an idea. I think we need to turn this into a nonprofit. I think we need to share what we're doing with the community.
Yes, yeah.
And just that one single thing, like I said, when I'm pretty stubborn, so when I set my mind to something, I do it. And I went on the 3-month adventure of how do you start a nonprofit?
Yeah, that's kind of how.
And I had just started real estate too.
Wow, that's kind of how even when I started my nonprofit too, because then, and I was saying to the guests last week, because my kids. We always did it help in Ohio, and we went to the food bank, and we went to the houses and deliver boxes, and I totally forgot about I had done all of that. But my son and my daughter, their birthdays are both in November, and they just have a heart for helping people. When they were in school, they would give out their school supplies, give out their food, and stay without it just to help with a child, And for their birthday, my daughter's birthday was the 10th. And my son was at 27. They're like, well, why don't we have instead of having a party for us, why don't we cook some food and get drinks and then just let the homeless people come and eat? And I'm telling you, it was really good food. I mean, we baked. I mean, really, it was like a 5-course meal, and from then we just went into charity, and we've been, doing it ever since. So it's really,
you get
really
the bug
good
to
things
do something where you get to share what you love, whatever that little bit is, with the community. It fills you.
That's amazing. So wow.
So that's kind of how it started, and the animals have kind of, they've come through different ways, and we're where we're at. We're not growing anymore. I will help other people find placements for farm animals that are astray. So I do have a few people from like the Coweta County Animal Shelter, because they get pigs and goats sometimes, and some of the other places. So they know they can call me. I'll post it. We have a group. It's called Southside Homesteading. They can post it there, and I have a lot of friends locally within, Fayette and Coweta, Pike, where we kind of have a little community of us homesteaders. Wow. So we talk to one another, and we kind of know.
Okay, what is homesteaders, though?
Oh, sure. Yeah, so homesteading is essentially, how I think of it, is trying to live just a little bit more sustainably than the average person. Okay. So for one individual, that may just be having a small garden and raising as much vegetables as they can for their family. For another person, it could just be, hey, I'm a beekeeper. And for others, it's everything. They're raising their own meat birds, which my husband and I do. We raise our own meat birds, and we butcher them about twice a year.
Meat birds? Like
our chickens. Meat chickens.
Oh, okay. I was going to ask you, do you eat the chickens?
So that's a separate breed to our egg layers. So it's a separate breed.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So no one's perfect.
Ooh, maybe it tastes good, man.
It does. Ooh. It tastes good. But no, we eat fast food, and we, right, no one's perfect. Yes. But we try to live more sustainably. We try our best to farm our land when we can. This year, I had the choice: build a real estate team and empower others, or have a garden. I chose that.
And you can always come
back to the garden. That's just a season. It's a season in my life that you have to pick and choose. When you are a busy mom and you are raising children and you want to be an entrepreneur, you have to pick and choose.
Yes.
And those seasons change for me, and they still do. And I think part of my success is acceptance. That we change.
Yes. And setting goals. You talk about goals. That.
So I'm a super goal setter, and I have them all over the walls. I check them off. Even I break them down into little pieces, and I check them off.
Oh wow.
And I get very hyper focused on X, Y, and Z goal.
Okay.
And
we're gonna have to have you come in and teach our girls about goals, setting goals.
So we could
stuff like that.
We could do a vision board.
Okay.
So a lot of people think a vision board is where you put up pretty pictures of things that you like.
That's what I thought. Yeah.
No, a vision board is specific you can quantify it.
Okay.
A goal. When, what, how, where, right? And yes, the images are going to reflect that and the end goal, but they have to be a little bit more specific than what some people think. It's not just a field of flowers and a pretty house.
Well, see, from mine, because I just thought it's like, bring the magazine and cut the house you want in the car. So that's why I have on the house, the car, the building, and stuff like
and
that.
That's fine. That's all, but then how do we get there? A little bit more specific.
I think that's good, though. I think I'll definitely love for our girls, in the program that we have to do something like that, even before we dive into what we want to do, because like I think that would definitely help them. So whenever you have the time, because I know you got it. I don't know how you're gonna find the time. We didn't talk about the nonprofit, and you did tell us why you picked it and why you did it. So we're just gonna let's say I have a note that says, through this nonprofit, Kim shares a love of sustainable living, gardening, and farming with a community, and just listening to you say that, because I know even that is something I know. Like I told my husband, when we get our home, I don't mind having not 5 acres, but having some land where we can grow stuff. Because I never really like to touch dirt, or I didn't want nothing to do with dirt. But then last year when we did it, it was really small. We just had one tomato tree, right? And we had like green onions and chives, and the carrots did not do very well. But just seeing everything grow and going to the tree and picking a tomato and a pepper, I was like, oh my God, we grew this. It was, so I definitely, that is something that I know we would definitely want to do. So
just kind of playing off of that a little bit, that's why I do what I do, is because I want to show my children the circle of life, essentially. I didn't want them to go to the grocery store and take it for granted. That they can buy a bag of apples, and they can get their carrots, and they can buy their tomatoes, and that's just where food comes from. It comes from the grocery store. And when I first moved here, I was involved in some healthy living things, and it really showed me that people don't know where their food come from. Wow. And so my children, how do I get it done? Taylor, my oldest, she does the goats and the cow. Reagan does all the egg collecting. She's 8, and she feeds the pigs. Hunter doesn't do much because he's 4 and doesn't listen.
He might play ball in the eggs. Like, whoops.
He loves throwing the eggs. And the chickens eat it. So he's like, anyway.
So you sell the eggs too?
Yes, we sell the eggs. They're $4 a dozen.
Okay.
We are overflowing with eggs, so if anyone wants some, please let me know.
Because I was supposed to buy some. I just couldn't find the person on Facebook that put that they were selling fresh eggs, and our egg containers are empty. So we buy a little bit. It was like, okay. So we definitely want some eggs.
My kids may hate it when they grow up. They may say, I don't want to have all these animals. I don't want all these responsibilities. But they're learning it now, and they will be able to choose, and they'll choose wisely, because they know that when we bring an animal in, that is the sacrifice our family is making. That's a huge sacrifice and huge amounts of work, and that's a big deal. And don't just take it lightly.
Yeah, that's a huge point that you just made, because like for me too, I say parenting, this is what it is. It's our duty to train our children. It's our duty to instill values and norms and stuff in them. Like you said, when they grow, they may not like it. They could change whatever they want. But like I said, you don't make your kids your friends or whatever, because sometimes your friend get away with stuff. You're like, you know what? You're a little person. It's my duty to train you and to take care of you. I have to give you rules. I have to give you guidelines. When you turn 18 and you leave the house, that's on you. But that is what I live by. Even with my kids, when they're growing up, like I would say, I'm not gonna, even if we could afford certain things, I'm not gonna buy you a $300 pair of shoes. I'm like, wait, just because you want it, and just because we have the money, just because I'm like, wait. What's wrong with a $40 pair of shoes? You're still walking on the same ground with everybody else. You still get to school. And my oldest son is very good at saving. Very, very good. The others are getting there. I think the younger one.
It's a work in progress.
It's kind of like me. It's like, okay, he has some of the other values that he picked up. And I'm still able, to talk to them. But that is what we want to show them from the time that they're little. This is, you don't just get everything. This is where it comes from. This is how you do this. So that is really commendable.
So we just want to share that with the community right now. It's not a ton, but we're doing things with the Scouts. We've got a couple of morning outs from some of the the VBSs, the Vacation Bible Schools. I have, I think, 2 scheduled already for June. Wow. So, with COVID and everything, things have changed, but we had a humongous Halloween party for the Girl Scouts in Fayette County in 2019. Everyone still talks about that because my husband converted our barn into a haunted barn, and it was legit.
Wow, so, that is amazing.
And we had actors and everything, like screaming at the kids and banging on the walls. So anyway, we've done a lot, and we hope. I think where my vision is a larger property where I can do more.
Yes. So that's what we were just talking about earlier.
We fit it in when we can.
Yeah, that's what we were just talking about. Because and even here too, I was telling you that we're looking for a larger building as well. Because for our girls group, we want to be able. My goal is not to. I don't want. Because someone said, "Well, can you just go here and get a place for the few hours?" But what we really want to do, we want to when we have a place that is built for the programs, that even if we're there like all day long and the girls like, I just want to come and hang out. I'm having a problem at home. Can I just come and use the sewing machine? Can I come and cook in the kitchen? Can I come and get on the exercising bike?
We
want to have it as a home for them that they can come anytime. And, so if you're listening, we're looking for a place. So we have a few more things we really need to get through. So let's talk about, you talked a little bit about you getting into real estate and stuff like that. Can you just talk to us? But you know what, before we go, after that you can you can talk about that, but I don't want to forget, because it was very important when you said that you set a goal and after 13 years you're going on your honeymoon.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, wow, because so many people figure they get married, they spend all this money, they have to spend all this money to go on a honeymoon right away. Can you just talk to maybe a young person?
Absolutely.
That's like, feel like I gotta get married, I gotta go on the honeymoon.
Yes.
And I think even waiting is even better, because to me you can really, really pick where you want to really go enjoy it and stuff. So talk to us about that.
Well, we made the decision not to get married right away. So we did have 2 children when we did decide to get married, but even then, money was tight, and we had help from my parents to put on the wedding. We did a backyard wedding up in New York the summer before we moved to Georgia. We knew we were moving, and it was time to celebrate with our family. So we've been together 13 years, married since 2013, and just did not have the funds. And we certainly were not going to go into debt to have a vacation.
Smart.
That was just not going to happen. So we have been very fortunate that my husband was able to start his own business in 2019 because my business grew exponentially during COVID. And so that has allowed us to pay off debt and then put aside some money for us as a couple. After 13 years in September, we are going for 5 nights to Jamaica.
Ooh, very good.
We have only in 13 years we did 2 nights alone in 13 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it is very welcome.
Good, very good, very good.
And well deserved.
Well deserved. And but you see, you work through it, and now you can
make the choices.
Like when you in Jamaica, you're not you sleeping well.
Yes.
It's not like what? Can I even buy this meal? So that's amazing to wait. So now tell us about your real estate and even through COVID, what do you guys do and stuff like that?
So, I was getting my master's degree, and I just wasn't happy in academia, which is basically what I was doing in cognitive sciences at Georgia State. I love research, but I wasn't really a big fan of a lot of the other side of it in terms of teaching and some of the bureaucracy that kind of was going along with that. So I made a huge change, and I decided after my master's I would leave. And right along that time, my husband was burnt on 20% of his body. We had a fire, and that left him home with no income for 2 months. And this was a really long, traumatic kind of shift in my life. What do I do? Where do I go? What's my purpose? And my stepfather has been a broker for 40 years. And so I decided, I think I would be really good at this, and I have him to help me. And, I could do something I love while utilizing my psychology degree, because I use it all the time in real estate. All the time. And so I just jumped right in, feet first.
Wow.
And in 2018, I guess, I got my license.
Wow.
And struggled for a year and a half and thought, I'm going to quit. This is not working.
Oh, wow.
But I'm not a quitter. I don't do that.
Yes.
And so I dug my heels even deeper into the sand, and I said, okay, what do I have to do? And that's my networking. All of 2019 was spent networking. And even though COVID hit in 2020, all of that networking, all those seeds I was planting bloomed. And, I'm so thankful for the community and my friends and the people who refer me. And it grew so much in 2020 that in 2021, in January, I decided to start the Kim Ross team.
Very good.
So we're just starting.
But you have your own team now.
Yes. So my stepfather, who's Jeff Ackerley, he's an associate broker. He's on my team. And then I have Savannah Brand, who actually owns the horse and tack shop here in Fayetteville.
Okay.
And then a brand new licensee, Nicole Knowles, and she is in Coweta County. And then I have a wonderful assistant who actually goes to Georgia Military College.
Wow.
Aspiring lawyer. So we are just getting started, and we love it. And for me, the team aspect and why I did that is because I want to empower other people.
Yes.
When you empower other people, you empower yourself.
That's true.
And it's just getting started. So I'm so excited.
Congratulations.
For the
That's good. And you see, but you talk about even you set the stage, you sow seeds, you
do
network.
It's
and
a long journey.
And don't give up.
Don't give up. That's it. The only way you can't succeed is if you give up. You may have to make adjustments.
Yeah.
You may have to sideline. Things may pivot or shift. And that is okay. That doesn't mean just because your end goal isn't always what it started off to be, that's okay.
Yes, that's true.
You just have to keep going, put one step in front of the other.
Very good. So what's next for your family?
Oh, gosh. Everything? No. That's a really good question. I think right now, my husband and I, we struggled financially for so long. Yeah, and we're just tired of it. And money is not everything, but it does make life a little easier.
Yes.
And so right now, my goal is to really pay off all of our debt, including our mortgage.
Very good.
And that will really give us the freedom. I want to travel with my kids. I want to have experiences with them. Yeah. I want to show them the world so that they can make educated decisions about, what do I want to do? Where do I want to go? Who do I want to be?
So do you, with having that goal, or do you set a plan for that, or okay, that's good. Yeah, that's good. Maybe one day you can teach it to us. So our time has come and gone. So in closing, we always have said, can you give a word of encouragement or empowerment to a young mom? And the whole month of May, we were celebrating moms and stuff like that.
Yes,
and
of course.
So a young wife, a single mom who may be feeling overwhelmed or discouraged, thinking they can't reach their dream, or they'll never make it. So can you just give a word of encouragement?
Absolutely. So I think first and foremost, I know everyone's situation is different, but carve out time for yourself. For me, one thing that my mother taught me that has really been valuable in my life is take a bath every night. If it's 20 or 30 minutes, if you're a single mom, it's when your kids go to bed. If you're married, it's your husband takes them and you have your time, because that is your time to recharge, reset, set your goals, and feel better about yourself. In order to reach your goals, you have to be super focused and laser beamed in on that. So, recharging is a huge part, because it takes a lot of energy.
Yes.
It takes a lot of energy. And just keep the faith that if you keep going, you're going to start seeing results, because you will. You will. But we got to get out of the rat race. Yeah. You got to get out of the rat race, which means getting uncomfortable. Yes. Pushing yourself, and you'll get there.
Yes. And like Les Brown always say, your dreams are possible.
Your dreams are
definitely
possible.
If you can dream it, you can believe it,
Yeah.
And you
visualize
you
it.
Yes.
When you're in that bath, visualize, what does my life look like? What do I want? What does it smell like? What colors are there? What does the house look like? Feel it.
Yes, very good, very good.
And
see, that's why, people, when they hear of other people's experiences, that's why it's good to share our experiences. Because even if I know my viewers are empowered, I'm empowered. I learned some stuff from them. I'm sure my husband picked up some stuff from this. So we want to say thank you very much. It was really an honor having you. Just being able to share your story, because there's so many different aspects of your story that's going to help so many people. Young moms, someone struggling from mental illness, someone that lost a parent. Is just, this was like a whole production. We can make a production out of it. And I'm telling you, you have a really great, and I know you'll be writing books and stuff like that, but
that's another goal.
Even in being able to help someone find a home, which is one of the biggest things. This is an amazing calling, and every part of your journey was strategic, and God is just going to use you to help so many people that with the nonprofit, and you're going to be blessed. You're already blessed, but and even as you reach those goals, you are so open to sharing with your community, to sharing with the world, and that is really huge. That is really huge, because it's working for you, and it's going to continue working. And I'm just honored to hang out with you. And
thank you.
I know we're gonna
and many years to come. So
yes, and there's many stuff to come. Yes,
Absolutely.
we're growing together, and I'm glad you were able to come here and see everything that's going on. And I know this is not the last time,
Absolutely.
So we just want to say thank you. And to all our viewers, we want to say thank you for joining us. This is ImagineMeTV. And remember, you too can share your story. So if you have a story to share, and that's going to empower the people that are listening, and it's not very hard. We just chill out here and have some fun, just hang out, and that's pretty much it. So thank you for tuning to ImagineMeTV. I'm your host, Arthy Lawrence, and my guest, I'm Kim Ross, and we want you to just have a fabulous week.